Hey, what is up you guys? Zero here. Welcome back to another Lorcana video. Today I have for you something a little different. I'm going to be making tier lists for every color in the upcoming set of Lorcana, Set 5, Shimmering Skies, starting of course with the first one, Amber. I just think it's going to be fun trying to guess how strong and relevant certain cards are going to be, and maybe looking back when the set's over to see how right or probably wrong I am, more likely. But yeah, just going to dive straight into it. This is of course just my opinion, so take it with a grain of salt, and I'd love to know what your thoughts are on these cards. So if you want to chime in on if you think I'm right or wrong on certain cards, feel free to do so below. Let me know where you would place these instead, or maybe even make your own tier list. I would for sure love to take a look at those. So yeah, let's just get started. I'm going to try to mostly stay in order, but I might stray a little bit if some cards are related to others, and I just say that because I see it coming up already. But starting with the first card of the set, number 1, we have Koda, the Talkative Cub. He is a 2-cost inkable 2/1 that lures for 2, and his ability is tell everybody during your opponent's turns you can't lose lore. A very interesting card, as in that it has an ability we haven't really seen before. It's preventing lore loss, which is definitely an interesting idea, but off the top of my head I can't think of any meta relevant lore losing cards, like cards that will make your opponent lose lore. We've definitely seen some in the past. We have Aladdin. I think the most meta relevant is Aladdin. 7 costs, shift Aladdin, who once it challenges you, you lose 2 lore and he gains 2 lore. Nobody has already seen it in a while, since that one maybe, so I don't know how relevant this card is going to be. I don't think there's any upcoming cards that make you lose lore that are very stand out that I can think of. So yeah, you know, just off the top of my head, I don't think it's going to be a very relevant ability. Definitely an interesting idea though, and maybe in the future this will make a big splash, just because if a new card does come out that really threatens lore loss, then maybe. But as of right now, I can't think of anything, and the stats, you know, aren't great for a 2-cost. It's not bad. I think for vanilla you would see 2/2, so it loses 1 health, but that's kind of important, I think, especially with this upcoming meta where I think you might be seeing like pinging, doing 1 damage to things. That might come up a lot more. Yeah, it's not great, I don't think, and the ability doesn't really make up for it. So I'm just gonna start off and put it solidly in the C tier, and you know, maybe I'll reevaluate in the future, but just from the get-go, I don't think it's going to be a great card, so we're going to start there. And from here, I think we're going to jump ahead to Kenai, the big brother. Just because he's related, we're going to go to him next. He is a 2-cost inkable 1/4 that lures for 1, and his ability is Brothers Forever. While this character is exerted, your character's name Koda can't be challenged. And in this set, we only have this one Koda, the one that we just saw, so these are directly related. And yeah, I mean, so his ability is cool if Koda mattered, I guess, but yeah, it's also not great on curves. So Koda is a 2-cost, Kenai is a 2-cost. Put them together and we don't really curve very well, especially since he has to be exerted for the effect to be active. I'm not going to spend too much more time on this. He's significantly worse, I think. We're going to put him in the D tier just because like he needs Koda to function well, I think. Yeah, I'm not going to spend more time on this. I just don't think it's a good card. Jumping back, we're going to jump back to Nala. She is a 1-cost 0/4 that lures for 1 vanilla card. We see this stat line propping up in I think a couple more cards. I can think of one more later on in a different color, but yeah, it's just a new shuffling of the stat line for a 1-cost, and I guess it's worth talking about a little bit. 0/4, I don't think it's too bad. It has the chance of being a lot of free lore if not answered for a couple turns, and it is a 0/4, so once it is exerted, a lot of characters can trade into it for free without taking damage. But you gotta think, like, so for example, if your opponent has a 2/2, right, they would have to run into her twice just to get her off of the field, and that is 2 times that your opponent isn't questing, while you're probably questing twice for them to even run into you. So you know, it's actually not bad. Also, if you think about like Amber Ruby as a color, having her, she'll lure a couple times or once maybe before you can heal her with like Julieta or Rapunzel, and especially in that color combination, opponents are probably less inclined to try to attack her because they don't want you to heal. Yeah, so definitely very interesting. Definitely some things you're gonna have to look out for sure. Like for example, like turn 1 queen into shift queen would immediately take her out, but even then, you know, just something else to think about. But yeah, not a bad card. Just because she's vanilla, I would say she's probably still C tier. She is definitely better than Koda, I think. Maybe B tier, but you know, this is the start of the tier list. I don't want to populate the B tier too heavily. I think it's going to be a really contested part of the tier list. So yeah, we're just going to leave it there for now. And yeah, let's just move on. Next, we have one of the most talked about cards this set. It's going to be Prince Naveen, the ukulele player. He's a 4-cost uninkable 3/3 that lures for 2. He's a singer 6, and his ability is It's Beautiful No. When you play this character, you may play a song with cost 6 or less for free. Yeah, he looks great. Just looking at it, it's just so much value off of a 4-cost. You know, you get to sing up to a 6-cost song for free. Well, not even sing, you get to play it for free once this character is played. So that's basically 10 costs in a 4-cost package. I don't think there's many good 6-cost songs right now. There is one that this set released into Amber, and maybe 1 or 2 in another color, but nothing really strikes me as very good as of right now. But the first thing you probably think about with this card is, of course, Amber Steel's song, where we have Grab Your Swords, we have Whole New World. 5-cost songs that this card can play for free. Very good value off of a card. So it's looking like an S tier card. I'm just gonna say it's an S tier card. I don't really see it doing badly. Just, you know, value wise, very good value. Yeah, it's an S tier card. I think so. I'm just gonna go with the hype. I disagree with some other cards, but this card does look like it's going to be a meta changer for sure. Next, let's just talk about the moose. Let's just talk about them together. We have Rutt and we have Tuke. I think I'm saying that right. I don't quite remember, but they are from Brother Bear. Rutt is a 4-cost inkable 3/4, lures for 1 with the support keyword. And we have Tuke, who is a 4-cost 4/4 that lures for 1 vanilla. Support has not been a very good keyword in the past couple sets. I don't know if that's going to change very much this set, at least standalone on certain cards. I don't see it being really playable, so I think just off of the top of my head, I'm just going to put them into D tier. You know, vanilla 4/4, not a bad stat line per se, but still not very good. I still think they're better than Kenai, so I will put them ahead of him. But yeah, not a great showing from the Brother Bear cards as of right now. But you know, I love the movie franchise, so I'm just hoping to see more in the future. But yeah, I don't know. Just off the top of my head, doesn't look that great. I'm just gonna move on from there. Next, we have finally Vanellope von Schweetz is making her appearance into Lorcana. We start off with a 1-cost 2/2 1 lore, the standard stat line for a 1-cost. And you know, for vanilla cards, I think C tier is a very solid place for them. But this card, we do know that it is going to be coming up, but we have a shift line for her into a Floodborn with a 4-cost shift 2, which I think just bumps her up as long as the Floodborn is playable or very good. And spoiler alert, I think she is going to be pretty good, so I'm just going to put her into B tier. And let's just talk about the Floodborn to hopefully make this make more sense. But her Floodborn is Vanellope von Schweetz, the Sugar Rush Princess. She is a 4-cost inkable 2/4, lures for 2, and she shifts for 2. And her ability is I hereby decree whenever you play another princess character, all opposing characters get -1 strength until the start of your next turn. So very reminiscent of Kida's ability, the Floodborn Kida. It's just in stages. So she is going to give -1 every time you play a princess character, which is very doable in certain decks, especially if you're doing a princess deck. And it's really nice because this effect lasts until the start of your next turn, so it really weakens your opponent's characters and gives them a hard time challenging you back. In addition to that, Koda only has her effect come down on the turn she's played, but Vanellope stays on the board and keeps the effect going as long as you keep playing princesses. The first thought I have is to place this into the Amber Emerald deck, which already has some princesses. It has Koda, it has Ariel, which already help on play, and it additionally really helps for Under the Sea when Under the Sea comes into effect, or the Muses, which Amber Emerald love to play already. And my favorite part about this card is that it affects all opposing characters, so it does not choose, so it also circumvents Ward, which is very, very nice as an option that drops on 2, and really I think shores up Amber Emerald as a color, just because now you have another option to weaken characters so that your Under the Sea can really hit hard. So yeah, I'm gonna go off on a limb, and I want to say she's S tier also. Maybe that is a hot take, but in addition to what I just said, she can also shore up like aggro princess decks, which is an interesting idea, because if you manage to get her out and then start chugging princesses out, you can just start to aggro, and if they don't have any removal, any actions to clear you, then or rush, that's another one of her weaknesses, is cards with rush, I think. But that I think she just shores up aggro very well, so I'm just gonna think she's gonna be pretty good. I'm just gonna put her into S tier. Maybe that's my hot take of the day. She probably belongs more in, I want to say, the top of A tier, but yeah, maybe we'll move her back down once we go through some of the other cards, but I'm just gonna put her in S tier for now. Next we have Lilo, the junior cake decorator. I will say it's a very pretty card. Like I love the art of this one a lot, but she is a 2-cost inkable 1/3 that lords for 1 with the support keyword. I think we kind of talked already about support and what I think about it, and it's also only 1 strength, which is not very much, which means she has to be kind of helped along to support anyway. So I really don't like it. I'm gonna put it at the very bottom of D tier, even worse than Kenai, I think, just because she's not really doing very much. She quests for not much and she supports for not much. So yeah, I don't think it's gonna be great. I'm just gonna leave it there and move on. Next we have another Vanellope Von Schweetz. This one is going to be a 2-cost inkable 2/2 that lords for 1. Her ability is you have to pay to play. Whenever this character quests, chosen opposing character gets -1 this turn. So a little mini effect of the Sugar Rush Princess Floodborn card. It's nice. I would have liked it on the 1-cost, I think, but since she is the 2-cost, she doesn't tempo very well into the Floodborn, since the Floodborn also shifts on 2. I think I would rather pay the 1-cost in this situation. And I mean, she's kind of great to stay on the board if she gets to keep getting her effect off, I guess. Right now though, I don't think she passes muster. I think I'm just gonna put her in the top of C tier. We'll see how she does in the meta, but I just like the other Vanellope better, just because it goes 1 into 2 and gets to play the Floodborn on curve. But yeah, that's just my thoughts right now. Moving on, we get our first look at the first Fix-It Felix Jr. in this game. We have a 3-cost inkable 2/4 lures for 1 with a bodyguard. It's again a very simple effect, and we do have a Floodborn to look at, but all we need to know right now is the Floodborn is also on 3. So again, the same problem as Vanellope, where we don't get to play on curve if we play this card. It also has a bodyguard effect, which doesn't really synergize very well, which we will see. It's coming up soon, but yeah, there's not quite a synergy with the Floodborn, and the effect is kind of meh. So I'm gonna put him under the Vanellope, I think, and maybe even under Nala. I think I like Nala a lot more. I think we'll see a lot more of her played. Maybe I want to say Nala is even higher than the Vanellope. I do like the 0-4 stat line. It is a very interesting idea that I'm gonna have to be playing around with. I think I'll be playing around with that a lot more than these other cards. So yeah, I think we're gonna leave it right there for now, and moving on to the next card. We are going to see Gazelle, the Popstar from Zootopia. She is a 3-cost inkable, 2/3 with the ability Singer 5. She lures for 2, so she is aerial essentially without her searching ability and with an extra lure to make up for it. It may be kind of nice to shore up the Singer 5 for 3. Like it's not bad, especially with the extra lure, but I think aerial is just way better, of course, because you know, if you have the Singer 5 stat line, you probably want to be singing, so I want to say the 1 lore doesn't really matter. She also loses the Princess tag, and, you know, just overall a worse aerial, I think. I think we've seen a lot of, like, we've seen the Gaston that sings for 5 too that doesn't see play just because aerial is there, and I think this is going to be kind of the same scenario. I would put her, I think, under the Vanellope, under the Felix too. I think the bodyguard might see more than the Gazelle. Maybe I'm wrong here, but I think I'm just arguing about, you know, mediocrity right here. So they're all in the same area somewhere. But yeah, we're gonna move on to a card I'm actually interested in here. A 5-cost inkable, Fix-It Felix Jr., Niceland Steward. He is the Floodborn. He has a 4/5 stat line, and he lures for 1, and he shifts for 3. Which now is going to beg the question, do we have a Fix-It Felix that tempos into him very well, curves into him very well, more like, spoiler alert, we do. We're going to see it soon. I'll probably talk about it next just so that we can kind of have a side-by-side. But yeah, shift 3, we know that he can shift on curve, which I think helps. His ability is building together. Your locations get +2 willpower. So an interesting idea for a card, and it's basically going to go down to how well locations do this set. We do know that they're introducing a lot of location removal in Sapphire, and I think Steel got one, so maybe not the best time for this card to shore up. I do think you can brew up something pretty spicy with this card though. Some of the Amber locations are pretty good, and you know, shoring up their defenses will probably be helpful. He does also have the 4 strength stat line, which we'll talk about Daisy Duck coming up, but he can take her out. So that's something very interesting to know. But honestly, I will say this is our first A tier card. I do think it has its place in the meta. If you can build a deck around this, I think it's going to be good, especially if, you know, we're going to go into his baby form that will shift into him next, just so that I can defend myself in putting him in A tier. But this Fix-It Felix Jr. is the Delighted Sightseer. He's a 2-cost 1/3 that lures for 1, and his ability is Oh My Land. When you play this character, if you have a location in play, you draw a card, which I really like this ability. If you want to play this on curve, you're going to have to play the 1-cost Neverland or a similar 1-cost card in a different color. I will say, if you're going to play locations, you probably are going to play a Ruby so that you have access to Jim Hawkins, which is the king of all location decks. I think like he's required just because his value is insane if you're playing locations. So we have a couple more 1-cost options in Ruby if we think about it, but I like it. I like this ability a lot. I would say I like it maybe even more than his Floodborn's ability. I may be being very contentious here, thinking they're A tier cards, but I just think there's something there. So I'm gonna stick to this and maybe get laughed at the end of the set for putting them up here, but that's just my thoughts. I'm just gonna move on. I think I just defended myself the best I could there, and you know, we're just gonna see if I was right or wrong at the end of the set. But next we are going to move on to Kristoff. This is the first, I think this is the first card we saw with this neat ability where, okay, so he's a 9-cost uninkable, 3/7 that lures for 3, so very high cost, very uninkable. But I think I want to say every color got one of these cards, where so for him, for each song card in your discard, you pay 1 less to play this character. So yeah, every color got a 9-cost. I want to say every color got a 9-cost that gets a discount for something that you have in your discard, or something on the field, or something similar like that. But yeah, his only ability is Bodyguard, but I really like this card. I think Steel Song is going to really like this card. because you are playing songs a lot of songs anyway. You're eventually going to get him out. He's going to be very similar to Chernabog. I mean, he is a Chernabog essentially for songs. So just like a one of in your Steel Song deck, I think will go a long way. I'm going to say it's an A tier card. It's the highest in the A tier right now. I'm just going to put him there. And yeah, I think he's going to see play. He's just going to be a Chernabog for Steel Song. And Steel Song's going to love it, I think. Especially with a bodyguard where he can protect a lot of your other characters. I don't know. It just sounds great. I'm going to say he's probably going to be great. So yeah, let's just leave him there. And we move on to the star of our set, 5-cost Mirabel Madrigal. She is our promo, our enchanted promo. So if you go to set championships, there's going to be a version of her that is enchanted. She's a 5/5, and she's our first card that lures for 5. With her ability, Not Without My Family, you can't play this character unless you have 5 or more characters in play. This is not great. I think a lot of people agree this is not great, and unless we are proven wrong, this is rough, just because having 5 or more characters in play is super hard, and you would think this was meant to be cheated into play. With a lot of cards you see this set, it's almost like they were tailoring around her being able to be played for free. But with her ability, you can't play this character. That supersedes a lot of card effects we're going to be able to see that might be able to get her out of the discard or something similar. Not doable. So yeah, she just can't be played. If you have to have 5 characters on the board if you want to play her, and because of that, I think I'm just gonna put her. I want to say, I'll say the start of D tier, unless I'm missing something. Like she might be able to be played in like a really hyper aggro deck where all you're playing is 1 cost, but still dropping on 5 just means there's like a lot of possibilities of your cards being removed before she ever gets a chance to see the board. Like I think I'm even overestimating here with the high D tier, but I'm just scared that, you know, like there's going to be a way to make her relevant, which you know maybe doable. But even in that scenario, I think she's going to be a win more card because you already have 5 characters on the board. She might see more play, I want to say, in like draft or other sealed events, where I think in those situations you see a lot of the times it's going to be a stalemate where everyone's just playing 1 card, passing, playing 1 card, and we're not questing. In those scenarios she might see play, but even then, you know, that's a hard, very difficult ability to surmount. So I'm gonna solidly say she's right there. And yeah, let's move on. Next we have Minnie Mouse Drum Major. She's a 5-cost inkable 4/4 that lures for 2. She shifts for 4, and her ability is Parade Order. When you play this character, if you use shift to play her, you may search your deck for a character card and reveal that card to all players. Shuffle your deck and put that card on top of it. So this is a tutor ability. It's not the first one we saw. The first one they revealed is our Sapphire Merlin card, but it is a very similar ability where she shifts only for 1 less and gets to find a card. The difference between her and Merlin is she places that card on top of your deck instead of putting it in your hand, which is a significant disadvantage, especially for having to shift into her. This does combo though with cards like, you know, Bruno that needs to see the top part of your deck, and I'm sure a bunch of other cards. So definitely something to think about. I will say this power doesn't look very strong as of right now, but in specific decks I can see this maybe happening. I think we're just gonna have to see after some time if some people can think about how to use this. As of right now, I'm gonna put her in the B tier. I still like, you know, Vanellope there better just because she is a shift target to the bigger Vanellope. But yeah, I'm just gonna leave her there for now. I may be wrong here. It's gonna depend on what this set pans out to be. But yeah, we're gonna move on to the star of the set. Everyone is talking about it. We have Daisy Duck Donald's Date, the 1-cost uninkable 1/4 with 2 lore. Yeah, I'm just gonna put her in the top of S tier. This card looks insane. Her ability is a big prize. Whenever this character quests, each opponent reveals the top card of the deck. If it's a character, they add it to their hand. Otherwise, they put it on the bottom of their deck, which Looks like it helps the opponent, but the reason for that obviously is because her stat line is insane for a 1 cost. The other 1 cost uninkables we have are 1/1s with 2 lore, so just having 3 extra strength, you want to add a negative effect, I guess, to maybe dissuade using her, but I don't think it's even that negative of an effect, just because if you play her on the board, it looks like she is really hard to remove, because normally for aggro decks, you know, steel or something that can do the damage for their low health really helps to clear the board, but she has a whopping 4 health, which everyone's gonna have to think about, I think, from now on. All aggro decks will probably involve Amber now and will involve this card, and if you can remove it, I think you're good and solid, but if you can't, it starts to be a problem. I'm just thinking of like turn 1 this Daisy Duck and turn 2 you play 2 more of her. That sounds insurmountable. I don't know, this card just sounds insane, and while her effect sounds like a benefit for your opponent where they're possibly drawing more card, it's also, if it's not a character card, so if it's like an action card that could probably like answer her, that's going to the bottom of your deck. So that's another thing where it's like, you can't think too much about that, I guess, because it's one of those cards where it's like, oh, like it's better not to know. Like if it dropped to the bottom of your deck, like you can just think of it like you weren't gonna draw it anyway. But still, I think she's gonna be insane. I think everyone thinks she's gonna be insane. I'm gonna lock that in. I don't think that she's overrated or anything. I think she is rated just about as good as she's going to be, and the reason I think about this is S tier. I think it's going to be like meta defining cards, so the fact that you're always going to have to think about her when building a deck, and like if you can beat this card, I think that's going to mean that she's a solid S tier card. So yeah, I think I talked enough about her. Let's move on. Next we have Moana. She is a 3 cost uninkable, 3/4, 2 lore, vanilla. Most times, not much to talk about here, but I mean, she has a pretty solid stat line for a 3 cost. It's because she's uninkable, but she is also a princess, so it's actually something to think about, you know, adding her to a princess deck. She doesn't really have any, so she doesn't have any Floodborn targets. Like there's no Floodborn Moana yet, so probably not the best card. But if you're doing some kind of aggro princess deck, there is thoughts to, you know, maybe adding this, but yeah, I mean, she's vanilla. Besides her princess tag, nothing much to talk about. I want to say she's probably still C tier. I mean, she's just a solid vanilla, so I would maybe put her, you know, I just like the 0/4 stat line a lot. I'm just gonna put her right below Nala. And look at the next card. We have Alan Adale, another talked about card. We have a 4 cost 2/3 lores for 2. His ability is fan favorite. Whenever you play a song, you gain 1 lore. So yeah, obviously another great card for Steel Song, possibly. Is probably if you play flutes, I think you might consider playing this instead. It's, you know, they're kind of the same thing, but his effect is repeatable, so if you play multiple songs a turn, you get multiple lore. But maybe flutes are more consistent just because, you know, they're items, they stay on the board and they get removed a lot less of the time. But definitely a solid card, especially like maybe again in Amber Emerald, where, you know, it helps shore up some lore gain. It's gonna be interesting. I don't know how this is gonna do per se, but yeah, it's like one of those cards you want to stay up, like you don't want to exert it, so maybe the lore doesn't really matter too much until, you know, you start exerting it when you have to, or if there's an empty board. But yeah, I mean, Alan doesn't look bad. I want to say he's top of B tier. Maybe you won't see much play just because he gets removed a lot, but yeah, I think right now, just looking at the ability, looking at the card, I mean, the art is beautiful too, but yeah, B tier just sounds like a good place for it. Yeah, let's move on. Next, we have our big Wreck-It Ralph, 7 cost uninkable, 6/7 lores for 2. His ability is I've got the coolest friend. When you play this character, return a character card from your discard to your hand. If that card, sorry, is a princess character card, gain 2 lore. Again, it's gonna depend on how good princess as an archetype is this set. I think it's getting a lot of help with you know, the Vanellope and with this card. I'm not sure how good it's going to be, just because I think this kind of aggro play with the Vanellope at least will kind of lean more towards aggro, and 7 cost uninkable is really big for this archetype, in my opinion. I could be wrong though. If we see like something more of like a mid-range or like, you know, something like that in the princess archetype, this could be good. Also, I mean, if you are struggling to get the lore to finish, if you can get up to 7, it's great. Like, it gives you a card back that you have lost, and you get 2 lore. That could be a finisher right there. So I actually think it's a pretty solid card. I'm leaning towards like upper B tier, low A tier. So I probably worse than Alan though. I think Alan will definitely see more play. So, you know, I'm gonna put him like upper B tier, and you know, leave it at there. I think that's a good spot for him. But yeah, moving on, we have Maid Marian. We finally see another Maid Marian card. She's a 6-cost inkable. She is 4/5 and lores for 2. Her ability is if the lady wants it. When you play this character, opposing character of your choice gets -5 until the start of your next turn. This is a very similar effect to Scar, which we saw in Sapphire in set 1. It wasn't very used, or like I tried to use it actually a lot in set 1, but it just doesn't seem great. I mean, in Amber there's more you can do with it. You know, this, if you play it in Amber Emerald again, you can get a really big character down to under the sea range, or maybe in like a challenge oriented deck you'll get a big character down and able to be traded with some of your other cards. I'm not seeing it being too great though. I think it's just going to be C tier, under, I want to say under Felix, maybe under the Gazelle. I'd say it's under the Gazelle. Yeah, I just don't think it's very playable. And in my opinion, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe someone will find some niche way to play it, but that's my thoughts as of right now. Moving on to the next card, we have 4-cost Sven. He is a 3/3 that lures for 2. His ability is Reindeer Games. When you play this character, you may ready chosen character. They can't quest or challenge for the rest of this turn. Really good effect, I think. So this was an effect, I think, almost specifically for Ruby. It does have the added caveat that you can't challenge for the rest of the turn either, and a lot of the Ruby cards allows you to challenge, so that's something to think about. But this really helps with like cards that exert for effects. So the first thing I can think of is like the 3-cost Gaston that when you exert it, you have a cheaper card coming up, 2 costs. So I think that combos really well with that Gaston actually. But yeah, other cards like that, if you're singing a lot, it really helps with that. Or if, you know, you do it for what Ruby was doing initially anyway, which was just readying things so that they can't be challenged. So this is also a good card for like aggro, where you're trying to protect some of your smaller cards. I think it's going to be a really good card. I'm just going to put it in A tier, I think, like right under the Kristoff, just because I think Kristoff you're going to see in every Steel song. So this you might see in a lot of aggro, or yeah, you know, decks that want to exert, like I said, or sing a lot. But yeah, no, it looks like a really good card for sure. Moving on to the next card, we have Minnie Mouse, Compassionate Friend. She is a 4-cost inkable, 1/5 lords for 2. Her ability is a little remedy. Whenever this character quests, you may remove up to 2 damage from chosen character. I don't like the stat line. She's 1/5 for 4 costs, and her ability I don't think will see a lot of play. It is attached to her quests, not on play, so yeah, I just don't like it. It doesn't seem very good. I'm just gonna say she is top of D tier. Maybe I'm wrong here. I don't really like 1 strength in cards. Yeah, you know what? I just don't like it. I'm just gonna say she's there. Still better than Mirabel, but yeah, with her high cost, she's also not really good viable shift target for other minis, flipborns, maybe in the future too. But yeah, the next card we have is Try Everything, our first action song in Amber that we're gonna see. So yeah, 4 costs, so it takes a character with cost 4 or more to sing, and the ability is remove up to 3 damage from chosen character and ready them. They can't quest or challenge for the rest of this turn. So again, a similar effect to Sven, where this one can be sung though, and it removes damage on top of it. But you know, attached to a song, I don't think it's going to be a great card. Maybe it combos with Sven really well, and that he can sing it, so he can ready another thing maybe. But yeah, not something I think will be very good. The art is beautiful though. Wish it got enchanted. Well, actually, I don't know if it got enchanted yet. Maybe it will. But yeah, I will say it's also D tier. I'm gonna put it, you know, I feel like everything's gonna go above Mirabel at the very least. But Again, I don't like this card either. It's just the tempo and what it does. It doesn't really make sense. Maybe if, you know, a healing deck, some kind of like challenging healing or getting lore with like Grand Pavi, something like that. Maybe there's something there. You know, maybe you can quest with Pavi and then use this to ready him and well, it also heals the character you ready, so maybe not, but I don't know. Doesn't look great. Maybe I'll be wrong. Yeah, let's just move on. For our next card, we have another healing card. Healing Touch. 3 cost. This one's an action. It's not a song. It can't be sung. Remove up to 4 damage from chosen character. Draw a card. A lot of, it seems like healing with additional effects going on. Again, unless I'm missing something, I don't think this healing does very much. It draws a card, it replaces itself, I guess, but unless we start seeing some deck with like big cards that will really want this healing, I mean, I guess it goes in the Ruby Amber deck with like, you know, Mother Gothel and like the Beast and stuff like that, but that healing attached to just drawing a card with no additional effects, I don't think it's gonna be great. But yeah, I'm just gonna, you know, I'm gonna put it, yeah, about the same place as Try Everything. You know, I think Try Everything is probably going to be better. So, yeah, I'm going to put it at bottom of D tier there. And, yeah, moving on, we have Revive up next, an uninkable 5-cost card. It's just an action. Again, ability is play a character card with cost 5 or less from your discard for free. This is an interesting card. The first thing I can think of is there is a Ruby Legendary Robin Hood that this goes well with. I won't talk too much about that card right now. I'll save it for the Ruby tier list, but I can see uses for this card. It's gonna be how we can implement it into a deck, I think, if we can find ways to cheat this out, or, you know, being able to play like one of the 5 costs that you played earlier this game. Like, you know, it's not a bad top deck, like, you know, if you're just looking for something to play. But I'm just thinking this card being stuck in your hand early isn't great. But I mean, it's not a bad card. I don't think so. So maybe like 1 or 2 of in a deck that can utilize it well, you know, with very high value 4 or 5 cost cards, which I mean Amber has already on its own. I think it's gonna be pretty good. I'll say bottom of B tier. Maybe the uninkability will kill it and it's actually more a C tier card. But as of right now, I think it's a solid like low B tier card, especially if you can build a deck around it. But yeah, moving on, we do have Blast from Your Past, a 6-cost uninkable song. So it can be sung. Name a card, return all character cards with that name from your discard to your hand. A powerful effect, and you know, the first thing I think of when it's like return all character cards would be like Brooms or something like that. Interesting idea, I guess. But notable that Naveen can play this for free. We don't have many 6-cost songs, so this is a very good option for him. It is uninkable though, which may hurt it, but yeah, I mean, it also brings back, you know, cards to your hand. Like if you play it for free with Naveen, I think it's a very, very good card. But outside of that, maybe not as great. I still think I'll say low B tier again. I think Revive might be more usable than it, but literally just because of Naveen, I think this is a more playable card. Because even if he doesn't play it for free, he can sing it. He's a singer 6, so as a song, not bad, I think. Maybe a little niche, but well, we'll see. We'll see if there's gonna be some funny ways to play this. But moving on, our next card is Invited to the Ball, an action card. It's an uninkable 2-cost. Ability is reveal the top 2 cards of your deck. You put the revealed characters into your hand, put the rest on the bottom of your deck in any order. This is an interesting card because it kind of doesn't help itself. It is an action card, so it doesn't help that you're looking for characters and you only get to keep characters. Maybe good in a Mufasa deck that is only character oriented besides this card, because you really don't want to miss. Like, I think playing this card in a deck that even runs a few non-action card, or sorry, a few action cards, I still don't think that's great. So it's gonna be like a really specific deck, like it has to be Mufasa and only characters, I think, which is really limiting. I just don't like that. I don't like how often it misses, I think, and it just seems like not even a good tempo play. But I mean, it is necessary card draw in a deck like that Mufasa deck. I think when you miss the Rapunzel, you miss the Julieta, stuff like that. So I can see it in that deck, but you would have to be very, very character oriented. So it's really limiting. I don't like that. But still, I want to say high C tier, maybe like in those kind of decks, which I mean a lot of people already do that where they just go full characters for Mufasa anyway. But yeah, just having the fact that, you know, it misses on itself, and Mufasa's gonna miss on it too, which I mean, having a few cards that Mufasa misses on isn't the end of the world. So, you know, playable. I'm gonna say high C tier. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe all Amber Ruby Mufasa decks are gonna play in the future, but yeah, as of right now, that's where I think it goes. For the next card, we have an item, 2-cost Inkable, Healing Decanter ability, renewing essence. To exert it and remove up to 2 damage from chosen character. I mean, this is nice for any decks that require healing, so like, I guess Grand Pobby. I can't really think of anything else. Maybe an item-oriented, you know, like Amber Sapphire deck, something like that. But as of right now, I don't think it is very usable. I mean, maybe like, you know, Sealed and stuff like that might like it for some of the heavier characters you have, but yeah, I'm not liking it. I'll say low C tier though, not quite a D tier card, but like not great. But next we have the Queen Sensor Core, a 2-cost inkable item. Ability, symbol of nobility at the start of your turn. If you have a princess or queen character in play, you gain 1 lore. And it has another ability, Royal Search. If you exert it and pay 2, reveal the top card of your deck. If it's a princess or queen, put it into your hand. Otherwise, put it back on top of your deck. I really like this card. I actually really do. It really helps. I think, like I said, if you're doing some kind of princess aggro, this really helps, because in aggro decks, you're going to kind of empty your hand a lot just playing cards on the board. And if you have a princess theme going, this will, you know, like help you with your empty hand. You get to draw more, and you're probably going to hit your princesses a lot if you have a princess themed deck. Not only that, it is passive lore gain. You know, like if you already have a princess or queen in play, you gain the lore. This is super nice, I think, for aggro decks, because I think aggro decks really like passive lore, just because your board is going to get cleared a lot, right? But yeah, not only that, it counts queens too, and we have a really good like 1-cost queen that often we'll see play anyway. We have 1-cost princesses that can also be played. I don't know, it just seems great. I really like it. I think, again, I feel like I've talked about Amber Emerald a lot this video, but Amber Emerald's gonna like it too, because it plays like probably 1-drop Kita, probably 1-drop Queen, stuff like that. Like it's already gonna start getting you lore if you have to play it on 2. I mean, you probably won't like seeing it on 2, but if you have to, I don't know, it just seems like a really solid card. I'm gonna put it mid A tier, above the Fix It Felixes. I think Sven is still maybe better, but I you know, it might even be higher. I might want to put it up here instead, but yeah, you know what, I'm gonna put it top of A tier, and that's gonna be my other hot take of this video. I think it's, yeah, you know what, I think Kristoff is better actually. But yeah, no, it's up there. It's definitely up there in A tier, I think, at least, because it does everything you want to see in an aggro deck, and it really helps this princess archetype, I think. I don't know, it just seems great. I'm gonna put it there and leave it at that. We are getting close to the end of this list. For next card, we have Amber, Chromacon, an item, 2-cost inkable. Ability, Amber Light. To exert it, remove up to 1 damage from each of your characters. Again, probably great if you've got some kind of healing deck going on. I don't want to think too hard about this, just because, I mean, it's really good with Grand Poppy, right? Like, if you play a Grand Poppy deck, if you can somehow hurt everything, this would be great. Outside of that, I don't know what else I would see in it. I still think, you know, probably doable. I'll say over here above the Fix It Felix, I think that looks great right there. So I don't want to think too hard about it, because I'm going to have to start doing mental gymnastics to try and figure out how to use this card. But yeah, moving on, we are on to our last 2 cards, which are locations. Our first one is a 2-cost inkable, Rapunzel's Tower, the Secluded Prison. It has 8 willpower. It costs 1 to move here. Abilities, Safe and Sound. Characters get +3 willpower while here. Interesting. I don't think it's bad. It's always good to shore up, like, you know, stats. I just think Pride Lands is way better than this card, in my opinion, at least. I mean, it only costs 1 to move here, which is nice, and it gives a little bit more, but Pride Lands has the lower cost effect if you have like a king there, and it also has the 1 passive lore gain, which this is really missing, and I think that hurts it a lot. So yeah, I'm gonna put it, I want to say also bottom of C tier. I just think Pride Lands is just way better, even though it's uninkable. But yeah, speaking of Pride Lands, our last card of this set in Amber, at least, we have Pride Lands, another Pride Lands. So it's a 3-cost inkable, very different. It's the Jungle Oasis, costs 2 to move here with 8 willpower. Ability, Our Humble Home. While you have 3 or more characters here, you may banish this location to play a character from your discard for free. It has 1 passive lore gain, which I think saves this card, otherwise it would be kind of not great. But yeah, I mean, again, like, I think it's gonna be really good in like you know, a location deck with Ruby, because Ruby has like Tuk immediately that I think of that will cheat 2 cards onto this location, so you don't have to pay the high cost to get on here. I think it's great. If you, yeah, and you know, it gets a character out from your discard for free after, you know, it sits there and just gains passive lore if you're not using it right away. I think it's not a bad card. I really don't think so. So I want to say mid B tier. It's very specific though. It has that one very specific scenario where it would be good. I'm gonna put it at just above this Vanellope because she's a vanilla. But yeah, I mean, looking at this tier list, I like it. I think I put everything kind of where I think is gonna go. I feel like I'm gonna regret this at the end of this set, where I'm like vastly wrong about a lot of these cards. But yeah, I don't know. Give me your thoughts. Let me know what you think about my thoughts. If you think differently, just let me know. You know, like, oh, you think that I'm insane and Blast from the Past is an A tier card and it belongs in A tier. Whatever you think, just let me know. But yeah, thank you guys for watching. I hope you guys did enjoy this video. Yeah, can't wait to hear from you. If you did enjoy this content, do like this video just to let me know, and know that you want to see more of these kind of videos, and I will churn them out. But yeah, don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already. I really appreciate it, and I will catch you guys next time. Ciao.